Good evening and welcome to my State of Mind here on WPRI.com. We are in archive fashion on the Dan York State of Mind television program, 7:30 on MyRI TV and Fox Providence midnight until further notice. But some pretty cool shows from a few years back, some interesting personalities and local celebrities will be seen over the course of the week. In the meantime, let's talk about today. I had an interesting conversation with the president of Brown University on the radio show weekdays 3 to 6 on WPRO, and you can hear that at the website, 630wpr.com, and of course on Twitter and Facebook at Dan York Show. Check out the link of the conversation I had with Christina Paxson. She wrote a piece in the New York Times a couple of days ago that has been reviewed all across the country, and she's done a lot of national platforms with her discussion about how she thinks that we've really got to do everything we can to open up colleges this fall. She talks a lot about the economy of college in big towns and in small towns. And of course, Brown University has its own special place here and is, frankly, a pretty affluent institution and can probably survive more bumps and bruises than most when it comes to the COVID-19 crisis. However, she noted that there are so many colleges across this country that are the small town economic hub, and that many of them are in dire straits anyway, with financial aid that is higher than the published tuition rates and living literally hand to mouth, making sure that tuitions and dorm room payments cover the payroll from semester to semester. So that's going to be a really interesting situation if we find that the economy of the collegiate community in this country is as fragile as he suggests it very well may be. In the meantime, we've got to take a look at what happens here. Governor Raimondo, in reaction to President Paxson's op-ed piece in the New York Times, said yesterday that she is asking for a report from each of the administrators of the colleges here on what their get back to business plans will be, and wants to be able to sign off on them. Now, of course, as we consolidate all of this power, authority, and review with the governor, we're running into yet another trap here. The colleges need to be able to handle themselves, so to speak, seems to me. And of course, we're talking about a cross-section between public colleges, URI, CCRI, RIC, and the private institutions, PC, Brown, but everybody's intermingled with public service and taxpayer support on the front line. So it's going to be a fascinating thing to evolve. Now, it's really interesting to think about whether colleges open without the schools K through 12 being open, right? This whole thing is completely uncharted territory. There are so many things in our lives right now, in business and our personal lives, that are to be determined. To be determined by bars that are set by folks who have never done this before either, although they have positions of authority and responsibility. So it's really going to be fascinating. I do think that President Paxson makes an important point when she says that we got to do our best to get the kids back on campus. A, they don't like the distance learning any more than the fifth graders do. Number two, the economic impacts of a major university, even here in Rhode Island, are very, very important. And the idea that we've got to be careful not to just run and hide every time a significant virus comes along. Now, that's kind of my interpretation of what she was saying, but the pandemic is such that we've learned some lessons here about reaction. We haven't learned all the lessons about the disease, and probably won't until a vaccine comes, hopefully sooner or later, but maybe a year or two away. We have to be able to ride this wave between that which we have to do and that which we won't want to do. We don't want to expose ourselves to a virus any more than necessary, but we also can't leave most of who we are and what we are by the wayside. This is going to be fascinating. And there's so many considerations, including, what kind of seminars do they run? Do you have lecture hall classes? Do sports happen on campus? It goes on and on. Another thing that came to my attention today is that the Latino community is in trouble, man. The disease rates are higher than the rest of the state. Listen, every urban community is going to have its challenges with social distancing and the travel of this very contagious virus because of the proximity of each other to each other, to everybody to each other, right? But It is clear to me that the Latino community has been underserved and is a little bewildered about what to do. Businesses don't really have as much information about federal programs for PPP and the like, and outreach into the community with people who aren't speaking English, who know exactly where they need to go for a test and this and that, are waning in terms of, at least when you compare it to, for lack of a better term, the majority community in this state and the English speaking community in this state. Now, Latino radio does what it can, and it's got a significant place in the community, but even it has been saying, look, we need more help. It is clear to me that the governor needs to appoint a czar of sorts for a total catch-up plan on how to reach the Latino community, both on an economic and on a health basis. The Director of Administration for Governor Armando Brett Smiley admitted on a Facebook platform connected to Latino radio only days ago that they had fallen down on the job. My words, but he talked about them being late and that they were trying to play catch-up. And it's just clear to me that this is something that is better late than never, but should have been done yesterday. And lastly, just wanted to talk to you about this thought. I've had a theme here running continually about the idea that not too many people and not enough are speaking up about the idea that the power that has been and the authority that has been galvanized in the executive branch of government is dangerous. It is. And it was evidenced today when Senate President Dominic Ruggiero, with whom I have a good working relationship, admitted to WPRO radio that while he got an email heads up that the governor was presenting her Phase 1 open plan yesterday, that he had not looked at it and it was not presented to him. Look, the General Assembly has been here. I'm sorry. The General Assembly should have been operating through this entire situation, remotely, of course, in gyms or in tents. I don't care where. But the idea that the Speaker of the House has not brought them together and the Senate President hasn't brought them together, and they're counting on this one financial review meeting this Thursday to be kind of their effort and responsibility to oversee or check on or ask a question or two about what the governor has already done in terms of COVID-19 spending is so woefully short of what their accountability and responsibility ought to be. Can you imagine? That leadership in the General Assembly wasn't privy to or partner for a reopening plan? Think about that. Think about what's happened here. Think about how out of balance we are. Bad news, man. Bad news. Wash your hands. Try not to touch your face. Keep a smile. And keep your prayers going for those who desperately need it, because the numbers are getting a little better, but they ain't good. We'll get through this. This too will pass. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Thanks.